Hello everybody, it's Jenny McGarvey here with you today, sharing one of my processes for Project Life. As you can see, I have my notebook out that you've seen in previous videos. It's how I plan my weeks. And as I've told you before, I just do it on paper so that I can do it on the go, do it on the couch. You know, I already spend enough time on the computer. I don't want to plan it out that way. As you can see, I'm just going to go ahead and start working on the left side of the page, and I'm going to get my photos down before I start working with the cards. So I'm just sort of throwing those down right away and getting started and putting away the rest of the photos I don't need. I'm pulling out the elements from the June This Life Noted kit from Scraptastic Kit Club. I absolutely positively adore this kit. I love most of them, but this month is really spectacular. I am just loving the colors, all of the embellishments, and Caitlin Schaefer did a fantastic job with the cards. That top one that I just threw down, the circle card with a heart and whatever else is on there, is probably my very favorite, and I also really like that Now This Is Life. So I'm going through the cards to find the rest of them that I want to use for this spread. I needed two 3x4 cards and a 4x6 card. Now I knew I wanted one of them to be for journaling and the other two to be for filler. I really do like to use filler cards a lot, which I would say is probably the only downfall for my style of Project Life, is that most companies don't produce as many filler cards as I prefer. Most of them do a lot of journaling cards or do more journaling cards than I use. I typically find I only use one or two on a spread, so most kits are pretty heavy, including the Becky Higgins Project Life kits as well. So now I'm just going to go ahead and embellish that one specific photo just a tiny bit, adding one of those tab die cuts, and I'm going to just label it at the end about how it's from 5th grade graduation. And then now I'm looking to embellish everything else. So I'm adding one of those little My Mind's Eye stickers, a label that says Celebrate, and that's at my son's 5th grade graduation, if that's even what they called it, I'm not sure. I'm laying out all of the rest of the embellishments from the kit so I can really get a good look at them and know what to choose, or at least know what I can choose from. I'm adding another little label sticker on that photo of my son, and then I'm going to add some alphabet stickers as well. So that will spell out sock, and then I will write puppet on the little label sticker that's there, and it's kind of fun because it dresses the card up quite a bit, but also tells what I need it to tell as well. Those lime green alphas are really fun this month. I love how bright and colorful they are in addition to the rest of the really bright and colorful kit. So they really work out well. They don't exactly match or anything like that, but I just like that they add a really fun element. Now, as you can see, I'm going to play around with that little flare circle. I really want it to go in one of the squares. I like the juxtaposition of the square and the circle together, and then the color is obviously perfect as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start stamping on a photo. The alphabet stamp that came in the kit this month is absolutely wonderful. I don't usually care that much about alphabet stamps. I don't find that I use them that often or anything like that. This one I know for sure will live on my desk. I love it that much. Now I'm going to use StazOn ink so that I can go ahead and stamp directly right on top of my photo. I'm sure there are other inks that work for this, but I don't consider myself an expert on that at all. So I haven't even researched what else could go on photos without smearing. I just use the StazOn, I'm happy with it, and that's it. So I'm stamping the word ice cream, or the words ice cream, right directly onto this photo, as that's what my kids were doing in this photo. They were getting ready to eat their ice cream as an after-school snack. And I really truly love these stamps. And what's even more perfect about them is they really lend themselves to sort of a wonky stamping. Like, you don't need them to be in a straight line or anything like that because they're already sort of whimsical themselves. So, you know, kind of making them a little bit crazy or a little bit off kilter is just fine. And it really looks like it's just supposed to be that way. So that works out great for me since I'm not the most detailed stamper in the world, and I don't usually do a very good job at lining things up perfectly. So I really like that part of it. Now, as you can see, I'm finished stamping on that photo. I'm just cleaning up my photo, or my stamps off screen that you can't see, but I am finished with the actual stamping, and that does say ice cream. So now I want to trim up a little bit of the cut-aparts that came with this kit and use them on that bottom right-hand stamp of my son using my scrapbook supplies sitting at my scrapbook desk for a school project, which I will, as a side note, mention that the scrapbook supplies are perfect. The trimmer, the cardstock makes everything so much easier for school projects. I don't know how non-scrapbookers do it, but I'm glad I don't have to know, right? So I'm going to use the yellow color part for that particular photo, and I love that it just coordinates so well with the rest of the pieces that I chose. And I'm just adding the slightest bit of journaling about that photo. And then I will also use my tiny attacher, even though I already adhered it. The tiny attacher is really just more for looks than it is for function. Now I'll go ahead and adhere down my flare badge since I know I like it there and it's all well and good and stuff like that. So now it's time for me to go ahead and add the journaling lines to that card. I'm just going to go ahead and get out my ruler, and then I will draw them with the black line. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I really like to use the black pen. I really enjoy the contrast that it provides. I could use a pencil and erase, as I do sometimes, or I could use a lighter colored pen to just have less emphasis on the lines, but I really like the contrast of the dark lines. So now I'll go ahead and just add my journaling about the week. This was a really fun week for us. It was near the end of school. My middle son had his 5th grade graduation, and he and my youngest son had field day at school. My oldest son was wrapping up some projects. So it was really kind of a fun, busy week for us. And adding all of the journaling on that 3x4 card is perfect to just give us a snippet of what happened that week without going into too much crazy detail, which I'm not entirely sure is necessary. Maybe someday I'll be sad that I didn't really, detailed journal, but I think that this will probably be a-okay. So now, as you can see, that page is really pretty much finished. I've done the bulk of the basic work, adding the cards, the journaling. I do want to add a little tiny bit more embellishing, nothing too exciting, a little bit of journaling on that photo, which I love doing. I love adding journaling directly to photos. So I'm just adding one line and then the names of the children that are in that photo with my son. And then as you saw above when I stamped right on that photo, it's just part of the journaling right on the photos, which I really like a lot. I normally use a Sharpie marker, the really thin ones, but this time I did use a, what's that called? Oh, the Slick Writer. Sorry. I did use the Slick Writer today because it was the first thing that I grabbed out of my little pen jar. So I'm adding a few of those Studio Calico Essentials enamel dots to that photo, and then it's really pretty good. There's the tiny attacher I mentioned for that label before. And that page is pretty well finished. It looks pretty good. I just want to add the dates on that card. I had not originally anticipated that card being the um, calendar card or whatever you call it with the date on it, but I did end up making it that way. It worked out great since most of the other slots were already full. Now there's the other 12 by 12 sheet that I made into a Project Life template. I'm going to go ahead and throw down the photos as I did already. It's always what I usually seem to do first since I don't have my cards pre-planned for this. As you can see, I have a lot of 3x4s for this part, so there'll be some finagling and trimming of photos to make them work in those 4x6 spots. Now I'm just trimming down this Instagram photo of my son, which I'm super excited about using because not only is it from Instagram, but then it's just sort of a funny picture of him and really typical of middle school life these days, kids taking photos of each other and stuff like that. So I really am super glad that I have that opportunity to use that photo on my this week's spread. As you can see, I also have a photo of the gas station. I like including those little snippets every now and again. I don't usually actually do that, that often, but I like it when I do, when I include a receipt, or in this case, the photo of how much gas costs right now, because I do think somewhere down the line it will be very exciting or interesting to note how much different things cost, and those sort of mundane things. So I'm glad I have that. Now, currently in the background that you don't see, I'm looking for a 4x6 card that's yellow to go behind that photo of my son in the photo, but I seriously just cannot find it, which I realized later where it was. But so I'm going to go ahead and start working and thinking in the background of my mind of what to do for that photo, but I got tired of just looking for it. So I'm going to use the alphabet stickers just right on top of this really fun photo of my son and his classmates doing a tug of war at school at field day. And those lime green alphabet stickers are perfect for this because they're just really bright and they really stand out against the background of that photo. So obviously, as you can see, I'm spelling out tug of war, and I will use those alphabet stickers again on the next photo as well. I realized somewhere into the process of this that I really probably should have just made these sort of crazy looking because I'm not very good at lining them up really straight. And I know that does bother some people. It doesn't actually really bother me all that much, but I probably should have just made them a little bit crazy because then lining them up wouldn't even be an issue at all. But I didn't. I just went ahead and I made them looking like they should be straight. And then, there's a couple of times that I have to readjust and pull the stickers up and stuff like that. And definitely making them a little bit crazy and wonky takes away that problem of having to make them all straight. So now I think I'm done, but then I forgot and realized later that I did not write the all part for all stars. And that's what this photo is of. It's the fitting for my 6-year-old son's all-star team, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and use a roller date stamp and figure out where I want that on the photo. Sometimes I like them right in the middle of the action, and then sometimes I like to place them over on the side, especially in a vertical fashion as well. I think it adds just a little bit of fun flair. Now it's time to cut apart those two 3x4 photos, including the gas station one and then the fun one of my son. I'm going to go ahead and look through the cards and try to find something that fits on the page. Not always as easy to do. But instead, I will also work on some of the cut aparts because I'd like to put one on that photo of my son, the 3x4 on the far left. And the cut aparts are perfect for adding just right on top of photos. Obviously, they're fantastic for adding on other cards as well, but I like to add them to photos. This Yes one is so cute. It's the same font as the alphabet stamps this month, which obviously I love since I've mentioned that already. And then it works perfectly with this photo. As you can see, I'm also adding just a few of those little enamel dots to sort of dress it up and make it a little bit more interesting. And then I'm going to play around with those 3x4 cards as well. Like I mentioned, I love that Now This Is the Life, and it works just wonderful with this particular week because it's an ordinary week. It's just our life. There's nothing extraordinary about it, but that's why it's so cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and use those alphabet stamps that I've talked about 100 times to go ahead and write gas on this photo. And it's a great opportunity for me to use the beloved stamps and also label the photo. Now, in case you're watching this and you don't subscribe to the This Life Noted kit, or you didn't get that this month, those alphabet stamps are available in the shop at Scraptastic Club for $9.99. I wouldn't wait because they really are that awesome and you will really want them. And most stamps are not reproduced after the initial run, so you will miss them if you don't get them right away. And as you can see, they are just so cool and they really are very, very fun and perfect size for Project Life or pocket scrapbooking. Now, as I mentioned already, I really do love working with those cut aparts. I think they really add just a little bit of something to the photo, particularly like those little triangle ones. It's perfect on that photo of my house. I wouldn't want anything bigger or anything smaller. So I'm really, really happy that we have that element in our kits because we are able to really just add a whole lot of a little bit of something to a photo with those little cut aparts. And I like that she changes them up every now and again as well. So you're not getting the same shape and the same size every month. And you may get them for a couple months in a row, but they're not just always every single month the same. Now, as you can see, I took those 3x4 photos and I trimmed them up so that two of them will fit nicely together on a 4x6 card. And they're both pool photos, so that's perfect. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to consider using two 3x4 cards in those 4x6 slots because, as I mentioned before, I could not find the perfect 4x6 card, and which is a total bummer, but that is what it is. I found that yellow with the white plus sign 3x4 card, and so I'm going to go ahead and adhere that photo. And what's fantastic is that only the edges of it are peeking out, and I love how that looks. And it gave it the exact look that I wanted it to have. So I'm going through the rest of my 3x4 cards and seeing if I can find a perfect journaling one to go in that 4x6 slot. I cannot, so I'm going to go ahead and look through my stash and find just a plain grid card that'll work to go next to the 3x4 and share that 4x6 slot with that photo card. Now, as you can see, I did manage to find a 3x4 card. The problem was that the first one that I pulled out had rounded corners, and the rest of this kit does not have rounded corners, nor do my photos, so that wouldn't work as well. So I'll go back and just find a regular grid card without having any rounded corners. Now I'm loving those Studio Calico little flag clips, and I'm so glad that we got an assortment of those in this particular kit. We just got 4 of them, which is really perfect because you're not going to go crazy using them on everything, but having a few to work with is super fun. Now I remembered that I had a fun cut apart to use as well on this particular spread, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere it onto the grid card underneath the clip stamp, or the clip, excuse me, and then I'll go ahead and write my journaling right on top of that. And I love how it turns out. It makes the regular little 4x6 slot just a little bit something interesting and a little bit different than I would normally do. As you can see, I'm just using a Sharpie pen right on top of that cut apart for my journaling. And I love the way the Sharpie pens write, and what I think I like most about them is since I don't have a local scrapbook store, I'm not able to get some of the more specific scrapbooking pens. So they're easily accessible at Target, and that works out great for me. So when I run out, I can just easily pick up another one. Now, going through the 4x6 cards in this kit, I didn't know if I was going to have one that would work for this particular slot, but I found that yellow scalloped edge one, and it's absolutely perfect. So I go ahead and just adhere down my 2 photos, leaning more heavily to the right side because I knew I wanted to use that Summer is Here wood veneer. And it's absolutely perfect. It looks wonderful. I'm so excited about it, and it looks great. But then I realize once I'm going through that I do really just kind of need a little bit something else. The photos are not lacking, but you know, the card just needs something else. So I go ahead and I get my glue pen out, the Martha Stewart glue pen, and add a bunch of little dots and places that I will add a few sequins. That just adds a little bit of fun and whimsy. Nothing crazy, nothing overly too exciting, but they sort of mimic water with the iridescence. So anyway, that is the end of this spread, is just adding a few of those sequins to this kit. Hopefully you enjoyed this look at how I made my project life. I think it's week 21, and I used the June Scraptastic Kit Club This Life Noted kit, which is now sold out, unfortunately, but you don't want to miss anymore. So go ahead and subscribe at scraptasticclub.com. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed my look at this kit. I appreciate so much you stopping by and taking the time to watch the video. And thank you so much. Bye-bye.